Adventurous kids, explore with education and learning what a wild life is in the Everglades. I want to explore the Museum of Discovering Science. What plants do butterflies like? I want to know about Key West Adventurous Kids, learning and fun. Adventurous Kids!
Today I'm going to tell you about Susan B. Anthony. Susan B. Anthony was an American social reformer and women's rights activist who played an important role in the women's suffrage movement. Suffrage is having the right to vote. Susan Brownwell Anthony was born on February 15, 1820 in Adams, Massachusetts. She grew up as a Quaker, which is a religion that teaches that everyone is equal. She had 6 brothers and sisters, some who were also very involved in the civil rights movement. At the age of 6, her family moved to Bentonville, New York, where she was homeschooled because her dad didn't think the local schools were good enough. From 1839 to 1849, Anthony taught school. In the 1850s, Anthony became involved in both the temperance movement, which fought alcohol abuse, and the abolitionist movement, which sought to end slavery. She traveled widely, spoke at public meetings, and began to take an interest in women's issues. Susan B. Anthony was a very intelligent woman who felt that women should have the same rights as men. She saw this in the workplace, first where she was making about one-fourth of what a man would make for the same job. This didn't seem right to her. She became involved in trying to get the government to let women vote and to enact laws that women should have equal rights with men. At first, she would speak at conventions and meetings. In 1851, Anthony went to an abolitionist meeting in Seneca Falls, New York. There she met Elizabeth Cady Stanton, an advocate for equal rights. Anthony and Stanton formed an immediate bond. They began working together to abolish slavery. They also fought to extend rights to African Americans and women. After years of talking to people about women's rights, they started a newspaper, The Revolution, in 1868 to help spread ideas for rights for women. To continue her fight for women's suffrage, Susan B. Anthony voted in the November 1872 elections. This was illegal at the time, and she was arrested and fined $100 for voting. She refused to pay the fine. Her defiant act of voting turned out to be a great way to spread the word that women should fight for the right to vote. In 1869, they co-founded the National Women's Suffrage Association to focus on women's rights to vote. It was through this organization that Anthony would work to get women the right to vote. She devoted the next 37 years of her life to this effort. During this time, she's made considerable progress. In 1890, the NWSA merged with another group to form the National American Women Suffrage Association. Anthony was president from 1892 to 1900. Susan B. Anthony died on March 13, 1906, at the age of 86, in Rochester, New York. She was buried at Mount Hope Cemetery, Rochester. Many people mourned Susan's death. At the time of her death, women had achieved suffrage in Wyoming, Utah, Colorado, and Idaho, and several larger states followed soon afterward. 14 years after she died, on August 18, 1920, the 19th Amendment was ratified to the Constitution. It said everyone had the right to vote regardless of gender. Susan had first introduced this amendment in 1878. The 19th Amendment became known as the Susan B. Anthony Amendment. The house where she was born is now the home of the Susan B. Anthony Birthplace Museum. It opened in 2010. The house of her birth in Adams, Massachusetts, and her childhood home in Bentonville, New York, are listed on the National Register of Historic Places. In 1979 and 1980, the United States minted a coin in her honor called the Susan B. Anthony dollar. It was a $1 coin about the size of a quarter. She was the first woman to be pictured on a U.S. coin in general circulation. The U.S. Post Office issued its first postage stamp honoring Anthony in 1936 on the 16th anniversary of the ratification of the 19th Amendment. A second stamp honoring Anthony was issued in April 1958. In 1973, Anthony was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. Susan B. Anthony Day is a commemorative holiday to celebrate the birth of Anthony and women's suffrage in the United States. The holiday is February 15, Anthony's birthday. Thanks for watching this Adventurous Kids episode.
What did you learn today?
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
What was the most interesting fact?
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous Kids!
Adventurous